This is More Knowledge, More Wealth with your host, Gabriel Shahin. Gabriel is a certified financial planner and a registered investment advisor at Falcon Wealth Planning. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this broadcast and does not represent that the services or securities discussed are suitable for any investor. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the broadcast in the process of making a full informed investment decision. Now here's your host, Gabriel Shahin.
Good day. This is Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth, here on every weekend, talking about all important topics of personal finance. My job is to go over the knowledge you need to increase your wealth. Now, to the listener, you can always reach out to myself or any one of my colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird, or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's Falcon, WP.com for short, or you can put an inquiry where we can reach out to help you in your situation. And by the way, we got this fantastic knowledge center on there as well. So much information, whether it's market updates, whether it's going over just strategies that can help in your specific situation, along with this podcast. Or you can get this podcast, any one of our previous podcasts, through our website, Spotify, podcast, or iHeartRadio. Now, folks, I'm the president of Falcon Wealth Planning. We are a fee-only, non-commission, true fiduciary, folks. So we go over all important topics of personal finance. Anything that involves a dollar sign, we can help you with. We are offering 1 to 2 meetings, 1 to 2 hours of our time, folks, at no cost. Give us a call. It doesn't matter where you help. Nationwide, we can help you. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Doesn't matter where you are today. You want to find out and answer those questions that you have, such as, can you retire? Tax questions, investment questions, estate planning, insurance, business, real estate. Folks, you name it. Anything that is on your mind, we can help you with. Now, it's funny because there's so many different scenarios that are out there, and I get questions all the time of, how can you help? What can you do to add value? And really, the answer is, it depends on your situation, what's important to you. For example, you want to retire? Okay, great. There are so many variables there. You just want to know, can you manage my money? Can you get me this much money a year? Sometimes that's just not the right question you should be asking, because you might not understand that. Is that pre or post tax? Are you counting Social Security? Are you going to have healthcare windfall issues? Are you just wanting investment management that you're never going to touch? Because if you're just going to want to put $100,000, $1 million, whatever the case is, and invest it, and you never care to touch it, okay, now I understand that you can have a simple question like that, saying, hey, just manage my money, and I'll let you know when I need it. Or just let me know how it's doing on a quarterly or annual basis. Okay, I get it. All right, so that's something that you're looking at. Makes sense. But to be able to answer specific questions, depending on your situation, you can't get that out of just watching a YouTube series or a social media person or listen to a podcast even. It's a little bit more complicated than that. I'll just give you an example, as we have some professional athletes. And these professional athletes, I'll give you an example in the NFL. What's the nickname of NFL? What does NFL stand for? Not the National Football League. Come on, guys. Now, I know you don't work with people in the NFL. It stands for not for long. It's the not for long league, folks. Not for long league is because you can get injured, and most of the contracts out there, they're guaranteed on the front end, not on the back end. So there's no guaranteed contracts, just the guaranteed pay, which is on the front end. And so you start looking at things like that, and you got to start looking at positions as well. You got to look at the positions in regard to the physique of the player. We have somebody who's a defensive back that's taller than 6'4". Historically speaking, that is not a big or a good size. Tall people don't do well. They get injured fast. They may be making a bunch of money, and their contract says it could be 20, 50, $100 million, but it's maybe not guaranteed. They got their signing bonus, which is, but nothing else is. They can cut you the next day. Look at, and when I say next day, relatively speaking, look at Russell Wilson for the Denver Broncos. That's a great example. He's now looking at what happened to him last year, where they gave him this monster contract. This was 2 years ago. And then last year, new coach comes in, doesn't like the person for whatever the reason is. He actually played pretty well. Could have probably taken them to the playoffs, but they had other ideas. And so they have dead cap space right now because of how stupid that whole situation was handled. We'll take it a step further. Depending on the position, they should be saving these players 80% of their salary and 50 to 80% of their endorsements. Yet again, after 3-4 years, that could start to be, hey, you don't need to save 80%, maybe 70%. And they could start being tiered down, or maybe the endorsements, they could start spending more of the endorsements. Because think about it, they have a very high lifestyle. They're in the limelight. Some of them have these fancy cars, fancy homes, and so on. They help multiple people, not just themselves. Well, to do that, they have a limited playing career. It could be 3, 5, 10 plus years if they're lucky. And that 10 plus year mark is pension time. That's important. So each situation is different. For them, $2 million, it might not be enough. That can only maybe generate $80,000 a year of income. They're going to need more than that, especially if they retire at 30. They still haven't gotten married potentially, had kids potentially. They have their whole life ahead of them. Healthcare is another thing. How are we reading these things in the paper, in these podcasts or blogs or whatever the case is, saying you need $2 million for retirement? Just like generally speaking. How stupid is that when I read it? Let me give you an example. Let's just say you're lucky enough to get a pension for $8,000 a month, but you only spend $5,000 a month. You have left over every month $3,000. I can argue you don't need anything. You don't need $2 million. You don't need $2,000 because you bring in more than you spend. It just blows my mind, the stupidity that I read on some of these publications. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every weekend, talking about all important topics of personal finance. And here I'm just talking about the simple concept of retirement planning. One of the biggest things people come to us to discuss is retirement planning. They want to make sure they are comfortable. Now, that's the easy part of our job. If you think about it, we're just really good at calculating. We've seen things you've never seen before, right? You retire once in your life. I've retired 30 times alone last month, just through our client base. So the idea on your end is, what can you learn from somebody who is, and a firm who does this on a daily basis? Now, you might be working with a sole practitioner. Good for you. You might be happy with that sole practitioner, but that's just one person, one frame of mind, one way to do things. It's like watching a movie. One critic says, wow, this movie sucks. The other movie says, wow, this was such amazing acting. One says the plot was fantastic. One says, man, the wardrobe and just the time period. I felt I was in the 1800s watching this movie. Critics are different. If you're working with a sole practitioner or advisor, they're just giving you their one view of where they're at. Imagine working with a firm that's a think tank. That's why it's important for experienced advisors, number one, and number two, a firm that has more than one. Yes, you have same philosophy in general of financial planning, investments, service, but you can't teach personality. And in addition to that, because that's going to be different per person, right? And number two, you can't teach care. And number three, you can't teach to have a think tank of always sharing multiple ideas you have from a strategy that can help your client base. Because there are so many different variables that come into play when you retire. I gave an example of a professional athlete retiring at 30 or 35 or 40. It's way different than us. That's probably going to retire in our 60s. I gave another example. You're getting a pension for $80,000 a year, $100,000 a year, and you only spend $30,000 or $40,000 a year. Who cares about anything else? But then there's also these additional variables that come into play, such as maybe you retire before pension. You retire at 50, but you get a higher pension at 55. You may want to wait those 5 years. Well, what do you do? What if you retire at 60 and Social Security doesn't kick in until 62? Well, you could wait until 67, which is higher even 70. What do you do? What do you do in the interim? What about health care? Medicare, you thought 40 or 50 was the last fun birthday to celebrate? No. 65 is a fantastic birthday. Why? Because the government gives you health care. You don't have to pay $1,000 a month anymore. You pay only $180 a month, depending on your income. Or if it's before 65 years old, you can control your income to get subsidies that will give you your health insurance, depending on the state that you're in. What if you have kids that you're still supporting in college? Or boomerang kids that are after college, that are coming back to live with you and just save money so they can eventually afford their own house. Or parents, aging parents that you are helping. You're not going to have that forever. And God willing, you don't have those kids that live with you forever. Mortgages are not forever as well. Still factoring in taxes. This is one of the biggest pieces to people's financial situation, which is why, folks, as a tax planning firm, it's important to take a look at your financial and tax situation, right? Most advisors don't even look at your taxes. It rolls off the tongue. They say, please consult with a tax advisor. We are that tax advisor. We can help with your situation. It's the most important piece of your financial situation. The advisors that look at it, quite frankly, they're not advising anything. Maybe investments. They're investment advisors, not financial advisors, not financial planners. You notice investment planner isn't an A? You get what I'm saying? People can call themselves whatever they want, but if they're not helping you with a holistic, full approach of their situation, it's useless and wasteless. There are pieces in taxes, which is your biggest expense that you may have, that you have to incorporate in your overall plan. You got to take into consider inflation. You got to take into account your retirement accounts when you retire, required minimum distributions. If you're charitably inclined, there are strategic ways to do it. The goal is this: how could you make the most money, save the most money, not just in investment costs and things like that, avoiding high fees, commissions, and so on, but also in taxes, which is probably, most likely, the biggest expense you have. Insane, guys. People are just ignoring it. So if you need help with this, give us a call. We'd be happy to help. We have offices all over. We can help nationwide. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird, or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short. Folks, so much to talk about. Something as simple as retirement planning can cause up a storm of just answering specific questions on your situation. If you think you're just going to go and interview somebody and say, hey, I need help with my situation, I'm not going to share with you my tax situation, my age, my family situation, dynamics. I just want to tell you, this is how much I have, this is how much I want to spend. Can you make it happen? Like, really? That's like going to the doctor and say, I got this cough and I need you to prescribe me meds, and not allowing them to ask any other questions, let alone look at your previous chart. Like, give me a break. Crap in, crap out is what I say. Stupid comment, stupid answer. But this is your life. This is your finances. You want to make sure you treat it with the respect as it deserves. I tell people all the time, I don't need any of that stuff to give you an assessment. But how accurate is it? You know what I mean? You want help. Let us help. Yet again, this is why we're offering that free financial assessment. Folks, we're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about planning strategies, retirement, and so on, and things that you should take into consideration. We'll be right back after a few words. This is Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth. That's on every weekend. We're going over all important topics of personal finance. We're going over retirement planning, making sure you're prepared for retirement, Social Security and strategies, real estate, taxes, avoiding them now and in the future, investments, reducing fees, commissions, and so on, insurance, and estate planning. Folks, we are offering a free financial assessment that you could take advantage of. We have offices all across Southern California, including the Inland Empire. Give us a call to take advantage. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird, or visit our website, falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short. Enjoy the show. We look forward to serving you. Welcome back, folks. This is Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge or More Wealth, here on every weekend, talking about all important topics of personal finance. Today, we were just talking about the basic concepts of when people say you're a financial anything, the first thing they think of is how much money I can have. Well, why do you want money? Seriously, so you can eat and have a roof over your head? Okay, that makes sense. It's also a tool to help you in retirement, so you can enjoy. Money buys you time. Say what you want. They always say time is money, right? And the other saying is that I thought was very important when I heard this about 15 to 20 years ago from somebody who was dying, a medical doctor. Said, grew up saying time is money. No matter how much money you had, you can never buy time. Now, I agree with that when you're deathly ill. But for people like us that are maybe still working, have time on our side, and have health on our side, God willing, money can buy you time. You know what's a good example of that? I help people sometimes buy private jets. Now, private jet is the most ridiculous, most non-financial responsible decision you can ever make. It's the dumbest purchase ever. Let me give you, there's 100 reasons I can tell you why it's the dumbest investment ever. These people who buy private jets because they want to buy private just so they can feel like a baller, okay, is ridiculous and stupid. You could get a round trip to New York from Los Angeles for $5,000 of the nicest airline, first class. $5,000, okay? And there's flights going all the time because you can do any airline at this point. First class is pretty cool. You can literally sleep on the plane. They'll give you food, they'll give you drinks. What more do you want, right? Even if you're on a private jet, it's the same crap, okay? So, and it's not even as convenient. It's convenient in time, but not convenient in everything else. You gotta get your own transportation to and from. It's not what you think, okay? But let me tell you why it's stupid. You're paying, let's say $2 million, $5 million. Well, depending on multiple factors, you're going to have to pay for a pilot on staff, you're going to have to pay for maintenance, so on. It could be a few $100,000 potentially, to, depending on the aircraft, millions of dollars. This is without even flying it, okay? Now, so think about that. Okay, just first and foremost, you're out of pocket $2 to $5 million plus. Some of these can go for $30, $40, $50 million. Some of them could go for $100 million. So you're out of pocket that. All right, we established that. Then, without even flying, you have to pay, most likely, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on the most conservative measure. Then you're in the plane. You know what jet fuel costs? It costs roughly $5,000, depending on the price of fuel, an hour in the air. You know how long it takes to go to New York from Los Angeles? 5 hours. That's $25,000 one way. Round trip is $50,000, 10 times more a very high, expensive ticket to New York. Most of the time, a first-class ticket, I just did a first-class ticket from LA, and it wasn't LAX. It was John Wayne. It was Orange County, which is more expensive than LAX. Is LAX multiple times people going in and out. I paid $1,000 to Chicago. You get my point? So you're paying easily, conservatively, 10 to 50 times more expensive flying commercial. So why am I bringing this up? Because time is money. You know why people buy those private jets? Not to sound cool and to look cool and to go on social media and show pictures saying, look at, I'm on my private jet. Heck, if I was ever on one, I've never been on one. If I ever went, I'd probably do the same thing. But the point is this. You know what every person I ever met that owned one of those airplanes said? It's a time machine. It's crazy how many people I've met. They all say the same thing. They own it not for flash, because they need to. They need to control their time. Something as simple as just wanting to be home with their family. Something as simple as needing to jump on a plane at any given second. FAA requires 2-hour notice to pilots to let them know. So you got 2-hour notice. They have to wait for you. You may be late. Taylor Swift, who has a private plane or two, she cannot miss a concert. Could we all agree on that? And she has to be wherever she needs to be at a specific time. And it has to go on her schedule. You get one of my point? Whether you like her or hate her, I can care less. I'm just telling you, it's a time machine. People value time. And that's important on so many different levels when you're looking at financial planning. You have to factor, how much do you enjoy what you're doing? How much do you see yourself continuing to do what you do at the level that you are doing it? Because when you're doing retirement planning, just in general, there's so many variables. Let's say you want to retire at 50. Okay. So you got to look at this as a chart. Okay. So you're up here with salary. Okay. So for those on the webcast, you can kind of see. So imagine a bar chart. When you're working, you're paying high income and high taxes. And when you retire, it drops, right? There's no income. So naturally, the taxes are low. Now you're probably going to need to live off something. So it might be your investments, whether it's dividends or IRA withdrawals that are taxed at ordinary income. So it goes up a little bit. And then all of a sudden, maybe you have to pay for healthcare. So you have to withdraw a little bit more at that point. Then you turn 65, maybe it drops again. Maybe you get pensions at this point, so it drops, or maybe it's even. You don't have to withdraw as much. Maybe you get Social Security as well. So income goes up even again. Now you turn 72 years old and you have, or 73 or eventually 75, required minimum distribution. It goes up even more. Now you have entire income. So what I've seen a lot of people do from a tax strategy point of view is they ignore the center period of their life where their working career, their income is high, which means their taxes are high. And then from when they retire to required minimum distribution age, their income is low. And then all of a sudden required minimum distributions go up and now it's high again. There's this gap in the middle where their income is low. This is where tax strategy come into play. Actually, tax strategy takes into effect while you're working, when you're working, while you're working, when your income is high, during low income tax years, and then eventually in retirement. This is where it's crucial for you to identify when and what is important to you. Is it the efficiency of your retirement through tax saving, or is it just straight up time? Because you can save as much as you can. You can have $1 million, $5 million, $10 million in a retirement account by just starting early, where you might be saying it's too early. Well, that's where strategy is necessary. But if those who just want to grow their assets to the most possible asset that's possible, well, now that's a different conversation. You may just want to enjoy life, make me the most, so on and so forth. But you know what you still need planning on is the efficiency of taxes, because you got to pay the taxes on that. If you don't, your heirs will, and they have 10 years to liquidate it. A lot has changed in the past few years with laws that has come out. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every weekend, talking about all important topics of personal finance. And today I just thought it'd be interesting just talk about these basic concepts of retirement, of you, of your situation. You ask somebody how they feel about money, they're going to tell you what their retirement plans are. For me, they're going to tell you what they would do in retirement, essentially. Think about it. What does money mean to you? Answer the question, right? How do you feel about retirement? Good. Okay, what would you do in retirement? I don't know. Okay, well, let me ask you this. What does money mean to you? Well, money means I just have more freedom. I can spend more time with my family. I could travel more. I can feel financially secure. I'm able to take up new hobbies. I can have a car collection. I can golf more. Guess what you just described? You described your retirement. You know what also that is? Experience. Part of the relationship of working with a financial planner is having that financial intimacy, having that financial partner, having that communication with somebody that can able to help you, not you as an investment account and client number 778342, but you, your situation. Personal finance is more personal than finance. We work with people to try to help them in their situation. It's not always just about making the most money. Obviously, we want to make the most money. Sometimes it's about not losing money. Sometimes the best way to make money. In addition to that, how does that play to what you are looking to achieve? You may say you're conservative, but you may not need the money. We might say this money is not managed for you, it's managed for your heirs. Sometimes there's a lack of experience and knowledge on your end. You need to be coached, trained, educated, which is not done in 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 meetings. It's lifelong learning. Goal is to be the smartest person at that cocktail party. Because right now, when you take a look at your situation, you have to ask yourself, are you doing the right things, not just for today? Yesterday's over with, right? You should have bought NVIDIA. You should have bought Apple. You should have bought Tesla. You should have bought Facebook, right? Amazon, so on and so on. That's over with. What are you doing today to help you for tomorrow? You should have invested earlier. You should have gotten a higher mortgage at 2.5%. In hindsight, it was a no-brainer, common sense. But what can you do today to help you and enhance your tomorrow? Find a situation, an advisor, an individual that you like, that you can trust, and more importantly, that can mutually hold each other accountable. This is crucial to the success of your financial situation. Folks, this is why we're offering a free financial assessment where we can help relate this show to your specific situation, where we can give you 1 to 2 meetings, 1 to 2 hours of our time, folks, at no cost. Folks, give us a call. We're happy to help. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where we can help answer the questions that you may have to really point you in the right direction. Because we see it all far too often where people come to us and they say, I wish I saw you 5 to 10 years ago. There should be no hesitation, folks. That is what we are here for. Folks, that was a fast show. I want to thank you for tuning in with us. You can always reach out to myself or any one of our colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird, or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you get this episode, any one of our previous episodes as well, and download those at iHeartRadio, iTunes, and through Spotify. Folks, feel free also, you have a question you want me to answer on air. Some of these topics I get from you sending a message to radio@falconwp.com. That's radio@falconwp.com. Folks, have a fantastic weekend. Have a great week, and God bless.